Man, yeah, this is my first time. Speaking of cancer, I have a son. He's 9 years old. His name's Otto. I'm a single dad. You know, it's tough. It's tough being a single dad. I work a lot. Don't get to see him as much as I'd like to. Unfortunately, he's had a series of health problems his whole life. He's been in and out of the hospital. A few months ago, he was actually in the hospital, and his birthday was coming up. It was his 9th birthday. And the doctors were a little worried. You know, they didn't want to say it outright, but they're a little afraid that it might be his last birthday. So, you know, being my only son, and you know, having the guilt of not really being around as much as I'd like to, I, you know, made a promise to him that whatever he wanted for his birthday in the whole world, I was going to do whatever it took to try to make it happen for him. So, little Otto, his hero is this guy named Patches the Clown. He's got this little cable access TV show that he just loves him. Picture Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons is basically the same kind of guy, and just worships him. And so I told Otto, you know, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to try and get Patches to come down to the hospital on your birthday and wish you a happy birthday. So I went to a taping of his show and stuck around afterwards and met Patches after the show. And I kind of told him my story, and Patches, I think, was a little drunk at the time, but he was sympathetic, and he agreed. I told him, you know, where to show up and the day and the time, and Patches agreed in exchange for a bottle of Jack Daniels and a case of malt liquor. So I went out and bought all that and dropped it off at his apartment. He lives in this little shitty apartment out by Midway. So I went over, I dropped it off, wrote down the directions, the day and the time for him to show up. So a couple weeks passed, and it's the day of my son's birthday, and he was really excited. I haven't seen a smile on his face like that in years, honestly. I mean, he was just so excited. He told all his nurses about it, told all the other kids in the child's ward down at the hospital, and you know, it got to be a pretty big gathering in his room as you know, 4:30 was coming up, which is the time that Patches was supposed to show up. And you know, 4:30 came and passed, and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and before long, you kind of realized Patches just wasn't going to show up.
Aww.
And it wasn't so much just the tears in Otto's eyes, although there were a lot of tears. And it wasn't so much the disappointment I saw in his face. It was just kind of, I could tell that his fight to overcome this latest round of hospitalization was just, he didn't have a spark of life in his eyes anymore. I mean, it was really just devastating. I mean, my heart just sank, and I started getting really angry. I mean, really, really angry. So I left the hospital after Otto fell asleep finally, a little bit after midnight, and I drove all the way back down to Midway to go to Patches' apartment. And I walk up to his door, and the door's open just a little bit. And I'm really pissed, so I just kick the door right in, and he's in there, and he's passed out on the floor, half naked, just beer bottles everywhere, cigarette smoke. I mean, it just smelled awful. He was lying in a pool of vomit. And I walk up to him, and I just kick him right in the ribs as hard as I can. He kind of comes to, like, you motherfucker, do you realize what you did to my son? Don't you remember our plan? He kind of mumbles incoherently. Patches the Clown beat the living shit out of me. It was pretty embarrassing. That's all I got. Thank you.